Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. And today we were going to talk about something that may have affected a lot of you. It's affected a lot of people out here in the world, and it has to do with burnout. A lot of you, if you have a job or if you've had a job before, say something, let me know that you understand what it's like to go to work every day. And it turns out that there's been a lot of conversation in media about burnout and how many people just hate their job. And this is actually recently, from my understanding, been recognized as the World Health Organization, I believe, as a medical condition. But you know what? I'm not going to say anything else because I've actually got a medical doctor here who can help us to understand this a little bit better. So, and she also happens to be my sister. Everybody, please welcome Dr. Latanja Watkins from out of Arizona. How you doing today, sis?
Hey, hi everybody.
All right, so just know I don't normally have my family out here like that, So y'all, if you're on Instagram, you can't see my sister, but I'll put the video up on drboycetv.com a little bit later. We're just recording it for now. We're actually, this is the only place we're live. But yeah. So I don't know if you guys know. You probably heard me mention that my sister's a medical doctor, and we grew up in the same house, and that's a whole nother story about how proud of her I am and how hard it was for my mother and my father who came from humble beginnings but were able to kind of make certain choices that push their kids in a certain direction. So anyway, sis, let's talk about this. You have a special interest in addition to all the other areas of medicine that you studied. You have a strong interest in burnout, largely because a lot of doctors, and people don't notice, a lot of y'all may have kids that want to be doctors one day, but it seemed to me like you had an interest in the fact that a lot of doctors are just burned out on their job, that they just, are constantly thinking about doing something else. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Like you said, like I grew up with the dream of being a doctor, and because there weren't other medical doctors in our family that we had close relationships with, I really didn't know like what was ahead, like what lied ahead on the road. And then when you get to medical school, you have a really big wake up call, right? And so then it's just time to go from like kid to grown up, and there are all these hurdles and stuff that you have to jump through. And so by the end of the journey, you're just pretty tired. And like a lot of the idealism that you went into medicine with isn't there anymore, and you don't know why. So there are a lot of doctors who, including myself at one time, who questioned whether or not they made the right decision, who were wondering kind of like where their sense of purpose and idealism and altruism went, and who were just plain out just freaking tired. And people tend to call that burnout, especially when you have cynicism regarding your job, and especially when you are probably less productive and not as efficient as you should be. And this, of course, isn't just limited to medicine. Like, the things I just described, pretty much, I think, 90% of the people I know who've ever had a job have experienced these same things. But, because I am a doctor, my focus was on my problem in particular. And then once I found a solution to my problem, I wanted to help other doctors. And in that, I became a certified life coach. And that's what I started doing. I started helping other doctors dealing with burnout. And once I started doing that, I had so many other people coming to me who weren't doctors and who were like, I'm dealing with the same thing. Can you help me? And so I just kind of expanded my work from physicians into working with a lot of different people actually who are experiencing burnout.
Yeah. I mean, to me, burnout, how many of you feel like you already kind of know what burnout is? Like you feel like you kind of like, if somebody says, oh, you're burned out, like usually when I think about burnout, Dr. Watkins, Tangi, mom was probably watching, so I can't help it. You Tangi, but she is doctor. I mean, straight legit doctor. Like I got my degree on the back of a cereal box on the internet on the weekend. Like this ain't like she really went to medical school. I really got a real PhD because and I think it's important to state because you got a lot of fake doctors out here. But anyway, one of the things that I think about when I think about burnout is just something that I know that the World Health Organization actually specifically goes out of its way to say it's not a medical condition, that it's an occupational phenomenon.
Right.
You know, which I don't know the details of that differential. Maybe you can help me understand that. But
Yeah, from my understanding, what they're saying is that it is a big enough problem that they want to, essentially they're saying it's a big enough problem that healthcare providers well, in this case, healthcare providers, because they're talking to physicians, they want them to be aware that because the problem is so big now, they might start having patients coming to them with, they're calling it like a occupational phenomenon or syndrome of burnout, which includes, feeling exhaustion or a depletion of energy. It includes decreased productivity and just an overall feeling of cynicism in their jobs. And they're talking about just the general population, because they are an organization with the mandate of putting forth like public health efforts.
right, helping people get healthy. Right. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how many of you have actually do you feel like you have had burnout on your job? Like, let me know. Say something if you have experienced burnout. Because yeah, I mean, I saw that. I looked at the technical definition, and I guess though that's necessary, right, to kind of formalize things, which is that step toward treatment. But you know, I know that, when I think about burnout, I feel like Black people are affected by burnout more than other people are, because I think that and I believe burnout, again, I don't know the detailed difference in a medical condition and an occupational phenomenon, but I've seen Black people so burned out on their job that they start getting sick. Like, I have physical symptoms, stress, diabetes, heart disease, strokes, all these factors that come into play because you're getting up every day and you're feeling bad. Like you're feeling, this fight or flight reaction, like all these people in my job, I can't, I'm gonna fight them, or you're depressed because you feel like there's nothing you can do about it. And I remember something, Tej, that really got to me was I remember reading about how they were actually looking at rats who became depressed because they measured the serotonin in their brain, and they said that the number one factor in determining whether or not a rat would be depressed is actually a loss of control. Like if you punish the rat consistently, like they would shock them. That's how they punish the rats. If the rat feels like he can't do nothing about it, like he's just like, Master gonna punish me no matter what, and then he just puts his head down and gets depressed. Like that's depression. But if he feels like he can fight, like he feels like he's got a shot or he can fix the situation, then he's less likely to feel depression. Now, I know depression and burnout are different things, but I almost see them like siblings, like they're connected. Like I can't imagine being burned out on your job and not being at risk of depression. Like, are there connections there that people, should think about?
Yeah, there are definitely connections, and what you say, like it is kind of a fight or flight type of situation, which puts the individual into states of chronic stress. So you're just stressed out all the time, and stress has been linked to health problems. It's been linked to hypertension and diabetes, anxiety disorders. It's been also linked to just like adrenal fatigue, all kinds of diseases that just kind of autoimmune disorders that come out, and there is an association for sure. And I always say to people, especially with burnout, like it's not like a physical disease, right? So it's kind of like if somebody with cirrhosis, there is a very physical connection with disease processes like hepatitis that can lead to cirrhosis, right? But there's nothing physical other than like stress and internal thought processes and outlooks on the world, a sense of empowerment that can be linked back to burnout. So I always say that burnout is a byproduct of an overall sense of feeling disempowered. Like you just don't have any control of, or not any control, but it's like you're operating in a state of disempowerment to where you feel like you can't control your circumstances. You can't control your job. You can't control the system. You can't control the man, kind of like you said, right? It's like you are at at the mercy of whatever is outside of you.
Everybody, I'm talking to Dr. Latanja Watkins, and we are speaking about burnout and the fact that the World Health Organization has finally recognized burnout as an occupational phenomenon, not as a actual medical condition. But I think it's an occupational phenomenon that could be linked to medical conditions. And so everybody, please make sure you share this video with anybody who's trying to figure it all out, who's maybe on the corporate plantation and trying to figure out, a new reality for themselves. Maybe they thought they wanted to be a lawyer and now they realize they want to do something else. Just share this. And also, by the way, Dr. Latanja's website is latanjawatkins.com. That's latanjawatkins.com. And she's a certified life coach in addition to a medical doctor. So she's somebody that I think can help if that's something you're interested in. Now, that leads me to my next thought, sis, is that, it seems to me like some jobs make it easier for you to get burned out than others, right? And, for example, I love what I do, but I be doing it all the time. I go hard. I get up in the morning, I do what I do all day long until it's bedtime. And I've been doing that for 20 years. And I ain't never got burned out. If I get tired, I might take a day off, half a day, go watch Netflix and chill for about 3 hours. But then I'm ready to get back to it because I love it. It's like raising a child, like a parent, that just loves their child and can't get enough of their child. They just don't even think about how many hours they're putting because they love it. But I imagine I know for a fact, definitely for myself, that if I were doing a job that I didn't like, where I was being told what to do or doing work that I found to have no meaning, I could easily get burned out, and maybe depressed and sad that I even have to get up and do this work every day. Alicia always talks about, Alicia, with her being a therapist, when we get together, it's like three nerdy, PhD doctor types getting together, having all these nerdy conversations. But she's a therapist, and she talks about following your bliss. She's a big believer in following your bliss, finding your passion, and not worrying about what everybody wants you to do. Like a lot of people, and this is where I'm getting to my question, because you're a medical doctor. I see a lot of people who just want to be doctors or lawyers or engineers because it sounds good when they're in high school. They're a straight A student, and they say, well, what do you want to do? They say, oh, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to go to law school, medical school, whatever. And people clap. We're like, oh, that's so good, we're so proud of you. And people go down that trajectory and commit their whole lives to impressing people who don't even matter. Who do you know what I mean? What do you think about that? I mean, just as a doctor, did you have revelations along the way that maybe sometimes the stuff that we think that glitters really ain't gold?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that you said that I want to address. And the first, you were just talking about like work ethic in general and how sometimes with, I guess I wanted to point out, like, there are two types of exhaustion, right? So there is like the exhaustion of like working from sun up to sundown that's very physical. But then I think what people aren't talking about is the exhaustion that is mental. And I think you kind of got into it about, not enjoying what you're doing, right? And not really having kind of any bliss or like a sense of purpose in your life. And that is the byproduct of burnout that is up to each individual to kind of like tackle and address on their own. So like, even if you changed your job, or if you changed your boss, or if you did all of the other millions of things, so even if you meditated sometimes, like that would not help your burnout if your burnout is coming from an internal mind process.
What do you mean by an internal mind process?
Just, I call it cognitive reticence, which is just kind of like, it's been said that like 95% of our thoughts are subconscious thoughts. So like, we're not even aware. So if you think about, even if you drive your car and when you brush your teeth, like, you're not even really aware of every action that you take or every thought that you're thinking while you do that. And on top of the fact that we have almost like 100,000 thoughts a day, like a lot of our life is on autopilot, right? And so a lot of the times people are feeling bad, so to speak, or disempowered, and they don't really know why. It's just the way that they've always been. It's the way life has been going for them for the past 10 years. So if you don't just stop and give yourself the gift of taking the time to become aware of like why you're feeling bad, why you're feeling disempowered, like what is going on internally, then it's very unlikely that your external will change.
You know, it's funny you say that, Tange, because, you know, it almost makes me think about how, has anybody ever noticed how, like, a dude, like you have some thugged out dude who goes off to prison and he comes back and he sounds like Gandhi and Martin Luther King rolled up in one, you know what I mean? Like, he's really, like become, like, much wiser and insightful and informed and aware and, you know, and I mean, those who use the time in the right way, right? And it's almost like there's something about, you know, being in that space where all the distractions are kind of shut down and it's just you with yourself that leads you, if you use that time, I guess, in the right way, you gain insight into who you are. You know, you figure out who you are, you get in touch with, you know, why you do the things you do, you know, why you feel the way you feel, what you really like and what you don't like, you know what I mean? And I feel bad for people that don't get those moments. Like when I was in college, I remember I used to hate, I didn't like, I had a hard time like living by myself when I was a junior and I didn't have a roommate. It was really hard. You know, I was kind of lonely, you know, I didn't have anybody to talk to. And after a while though, I wasn't feeling lonely anymore. Maybe a year or two in, I started to enjoy the isolation because I remember being 23 years old thinking, oh my God, just from being isolated, I'm learning so much about myself, about the world. I would analyze my life, my past, my present, my future, my possible alternative futures, everybody else's life. And I gained so many insights. And I swear to God, I'm not making this up. I used to sit there when I was 23 and I would be like, God, I hope I get my PhD one day and become a famous professor so I can tell everybody all this stuff that I've been figuring out. Like, you know, so now getting to do this, like getting a chance to like talk to, you know, so many people like on, you know, digital media and all that is exciting for me because I really feel like I got all this stuff. I'm like, I got to get it out. I want people to learn this because you gave it an empowerment. And you're right. You when you get to the point where you know who you are, you know what you're feeling and why and what you really want, you just, it's like a weird, it's like finally being in a car where you're no longer a passenger in the car. You really got your hands on the steering wheel. And as our brother Lawrence likes to use the term intentionality, you start living your life on purpose.
Yeah. And burnout is your map, it's your GPS. So like if you're feeling burnout and chronic stress and overwhelm and just this general sense of like unfulfillment and unhappiness, that is that's like your GPS being like, turn right here, turn left here, or like stop the car and get out and take some deep breaths and figure out like why you're feeling this way, because it's not normal. It's not, I don't believe that is what we came here to experience, like as humans, right? So like, if you ever just, you know, sometimes I just ask myself the question, like, okay, like if I had any say at all, you know, before I was born, like into what I wanted to experience in life, would this be it? Would this be it? And if it's not, why not? And what is it that I do want to experience, right? Because I think that because so many people are experiencing burnout and it's become like just kind of like normal in the culture to be like, oh, I'm so tired, depressed, or, you know, like whatever, I'm exhausted and, you know, I need some mommy juice, you know, some wine, or, you know, like the big foodie culture, like all these buffers to help you feel better immediately, when that's not the true satisfaction you're seeking. You know, so like the true satisfaction, in my opinion, like you pointed out, is like your true satisfaction is to know yourself and to kind of have like a sense of purpose in what you want to contribute to the world, and also to operate in the world as a king, as a queen, right? And not as somebody who's just downtrodden by work, or, you know, by this boss, or by all of these things that, you know, you're telling yourself you have no control over, because you ultimately do have control.
I don't know about y'all. I'm pumped up on this conversation. Like, to me, it's like, yes, like find your purpose. Like, because you're right. That's what they do. This fucking system, it seems like they put you in the middle of chaos and stress and bullshit, and then they give you a bunch of tools to manage all the negative side effects from being a drone in a soulless society. You know, where meaning is gone. Like, it's considered a luxury to actually do something that you love or do things that you're passionate about. It's like, no, you're part of the machine, and you just like need to live your life on autopilot like a drone. And if you ever find yourself getting a little uncomfortable, here's some liquor, here's some donuts, you know,
Yeah.
here's some porn, whatever
Here's
your
the news.
what you say?
Here's the news. Here's a movie.
Yeah, it's like that, right? And then you have some people who wake up and they're like, wait a minute, no, I'm getting off of this.
Right. Yeah.
Treadmill. And
Yeah.
I love that. That is wow. I didn't know. Gosh, you know, you ever have a relative you talk to and you finally talk to them about some shit and you're like, I didn't know you were that smart. I knew my sister was smart. She's actually the smart. She's the one that can memorize information. She'd be like, "Oh, remember this happened on such a day." I'd be like, "I don't remember." But yeah, it's like I really gained something from this conversation. Like, I'm really pumped up about it because I think that, you know, committing yourself to living your life with intention, finding your bliss, and still, and you can still pay the bills. You know, like you can still, you know, if your goal is to make money and all that, you can still get that in. But you got to find out who the heck you are.
Right.
A lot of times we don't even know who we are. If somebody tells us who we are, or you're a doctor, or you're supposed to be this, and you're supposed to be a housewife, or whatever it is, and we just follow that pattern and don't even know why. Like, and I'll tell you this story. Then I want you to get the last word in, and I want to hear about your book too. But you know, I remember I had a friend in my PhD program who got she graduated from college, got married, got divorced about 2 years later, and then she was in the program with me. And I remember I said, she was talking about her husband, like, oh, he was an idiot and he was this, he was that. And I said, wow, sounds like y'all weren't a good fit. I said, why did you get married right out of college? And what made you do it? She said, I don't know. I just thought it was the next thing to do. like literally. And it's kind of like, wow, that's a big decision to make on autopilot.
Yeah.
You know, it's a big decision to make on autopilot. So anyway, I'll let you get the last word. Sis, did you have something else you wanted to add before we bounce out of here?
Yeah. Basically, don't live your life on autopilot. One of the things that's been going through my head, especially in the past week, is just as I've, you know, made some of my own personal decisions in life, is that, you know, when I think about my life and what I want to experience, going back to, like, you know, if I could choose what I wanted to experience, what would I choose? And so the imagery came to me, like, life is kind of like going to Disney World, right? And it's like, you know, you can choose to kind of, like, you know, ride It's a Small World, you know, and kind of go along the lazy river, and then you're like, okay, you know exactly what's coming up next. Kind of like your friend was saying, like, you know, she got married because it was the next thing she was supposed to do. She went to school because she was supposed to, right? And I think that a lot of the times when you do that, then you kind of get lulled into, like, they're playing like It's a Small World, and you kind of get, like, lulled into this state of kind of like that subconscious thinking we were talking about, where you tend to lose yourself in, like, It's a Small World, right? Mm-hmm. But you also have the other choice to where you can tap in and really find out, like, who it is you are. Like, you're like, no, you know, screw this, I'm gonna go ride Space Mountain all day and really just, like, ride the roller. Because it's not like, when you make that decision to, like, really live your life on purpose, it is not a fun decision all the time, and it involves a lot of fear. It involves a lot of uncertainty. It involves a lot of taking chances, not knowing they're going to work out, and being willing to do that so that you can have the experience that you want to have. Even if you fail, like, you know that you went to Disney World and you rode Space Mountain, right? Like, you didn't just kind of, like, phone it in and ride It's a Small World all day, right? Oh. So I guess that's kind of like what I want to say, like, to anybody who's feeling burned out, like, just take that time and really just kind of, like, sit with yourself and ask, like, is this the experience that you want to have? Even if you feel like you don't have any control, or that you're feeling, like, disempowered in some kind of way, like you can't change it. And so that's what then it's the perfect time to plug my book too. So I wrote this book. It's called The 100th Nubian Effect. And there's a Facebook page. Just type in The 100th Nubian Effect and you can join that page and I'll be on there. I'm talking about things like this too. And my website is latanjawatkins.com. And so that's how you spell my name. You know, I'm Black. It's not. I'm like black, right? So, but yeah, so when I first started thinking about burnout and just kind of like the experience I want to have in life, and if I could tell other people like how to have their own like super awesome experience in life, this is the book that kind of like came to mind, and I subtitled it like How to Get Ahead Even If You Feel Like You're Starting from Behind. So for anybody who's just tired and wants a different experience in life, one of like empowerment and one of like operating as king or queen and creator, then yeah, you could check the book out, or you could just follow me on Facebook on my page, The 100th Nubian Effect. Yeah, and if anyone has any questions, they can email me, they could send me a message, and I'd love to talk to you.
Okay. All right, everybody. This is Dr. Latanja Watkins. The title of her book is The 100th Nubian Effect. Her website is latanjawatkins.com. That's latanjawatkins.com. What I would say to you guys is, in general, one of the keys to happiness is doing what the hell you want to do. When she talked about, it's a small world after all and lulling you to sleep. Well, that's what it means to not be conscious. That's what it means. When they say stay woke and I'm woke and be a conscious Black person, that means that you can't afford as a Black person to let them put you to sleep, because that's when they're going to molest you while you're sleeping, right? They're going to do an R. Kelly on you while you're knocked out. Seriously, that's what they do to Black people. When Black people tell me if am I telling the truth or am I right? Which one is it? Because y'all know that we talk about this. Black people get exploited more than anybody else, and it's very important for Black people to be conscious, because if you don't, then that's when you get these zombies that are struggling and unhappy, stressed out, dying young, going through hell, giving away all their wealth, all these things, because your whole reality is designed around trying to put you to sleep. So her Facebook page is, if you look up Latanja Watkins, Latanja, I would type it into the phone on Instagram, but I can't. I got big thumbs. I'm gonna mess it up. But and I'll put it also this video will be put up on financialjuneteenth.tv.com. That's financialjuneteenth.tv.com. So if you want to learn lessons about business, the workplace, things like that, make sure you subscribe at financialjuneteenth.tv.com. And last but not least, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up button. Please share, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Don't forget the podcast is on iTunes, so you can look up my name on iTunes and find it there. And if you want a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, go to drboycewatkins.net. That's drboycewatkins.net. So everybody, thank you guys for hanging out. It's good to see you. And thank you, sis. I appreciate your time. And all right, and you have changed some lives today. And everybody, please give her a digital round of applause and a quick thank you in the chat if you could. Because I know we siblings and stuff, but she a doctor and she's big money and stuff. People go to school and they get all Hollywood on you. Anyway, I'm playing. I love my sister. So I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Have a good day. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. Okay.